Welcome to my new channel, where I explore secular answers to important questions and how people with different beliefs or ideas can coexist peacefully. These answers are grounded in the principles of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. In this video, we discuss how power can lead to corruption through the tragic story of Hypatia's death.
Welcome to my new channel, Secular Answers, and I do hope that you learn something as I speak about Hypatia and Cyril.
In the vibrant city of Alexandria, during the late 4th and early 5th centuries, two prominent figures emerged: Hypatia, a renowned philosopher and mathematician, and Cyril, the influential bishop of Alexandria. Their intertwined stories highlight a tumultuous period marked by political intrigue, religious conflict, and the tragic consequences of intolerance. Born around 360 CE, Hypatia was a daughter of Theon, a distinguished mathematician and philosopher. Under her father's guidance, she excelled in mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy, eventually leading the Neoplatonist school in Alexandria. Her lectures attracted students from diverse backgrounds, including pagans and Christians, drawn by her profound knowledge and eloquence. She was simply amazing, I would say. Hypatia's commitment to reason and inquiry made her a respected figure in a city teeming with intellectual and cultural diversity. It should also be noted at this time, this is something I should add on the side, that during this time, it was common for a father who ran a school to have his daughter attend that particular school that they ran with the goal of marrying her to the brightest student. However, with Hypatia, there was one small problem. She was the brightest student. So much so that her father entrusted her with the control of the school before he died. This was unprecedented. In 412 CE, Cyril ascended to the position of Patriarch of Alexandria, succeeding his uncle Philosopher. He was basically the bishop of Alexandria. His tenure was characterized by a zealous commitment to Christian orthodoxy and an unyielding stance against those he perceived as threats to the faith. Cyril's methods were often aggressive. He expelled Jews from Alexandria and clashed with various Christian sects, actions that underscored his determination to consolidate religious authority. Basically, Cyril was a theocrat, and his goal was to make sure that his version of Christianity dominated the city of Alexandria and nobody else. A significant political rival to Cyril was Orestes, the Roman prefect of Alexandria. Their relationship deteriorated over disputes concerning the governance of the city and the extent of ecclesiastical influence. There are many researchers like Edward Watts who've talked about Hypatia and Cyril and Orestes. It's a good topic to research. Orestes wants more authority in himself, and he wants more tolerance of other faiths. He was, after all, friends with Hypatia. Hypatia was a confidant and advisor to Orestes and was inadvertently drawn into this power struggle. Her close association with the prefect and her esteemed status made her a target for those seeking to undermine Orestes' authority. Orestes basically was in this, he trusted Hypatia as an advisor, and that in turn meant that because Orestes was a target, Hypatia also became the target. In March 415 CE, amid escalates tensions, a faction of Christian zealots, possibly incited by Cyril's fervent rhetoric, confronted Hypatia. They accused her of witchcraft and of perpetuating the rift between Orestes and Cyril. A mob led by Peter the Lector brutally murdered her, desecrating her body. They literally flayed her alive in a heinous act that shocked contemporaries and has reverberated throughout history. There are rumors that as Hypatia was being tortured, she was told that if she converted to Christianity, they even gave her a cross to kiss apparently, and became a nun, her life would be spared, but she refused. You, the listener, are free to speculate. Don't let people gaslight you about this, on whether this happened or not. After all, stories about Christian martyrs often cannot be verified, yet they are rarely contested. There are a lot of stories that are told about what happened to martyrs. Sometimes the evidence is shaky at best, and yet we believe these stories to be true. Even what happened at Jesus' trial, the evidence for that is a bit shaky. It comes from the Gospels, right? So you're free to speculate about what happened to Hypatia, whether what was written about her, that happened at the moment she was being killed, is actually true. While direct evidence linking Cyril to the orchestration of Hypatia's marriage is absent, his failure to condemn the act and the atmosphere of hostility he fostered suggest a tacit approval. I'll go further than this, and I know I'm going to be criticized by some intellectuals out there, and that's okay. I'm willing to be criticized. I'm not an intellectual at this subject, but I believe Edward Watts on this one. In my personal view, believing that Cyril was not involved in the murder of Hypatia, it's like believing like the mafia was not involved in the disappearance of Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa was this Tim Starr's leader, was connected to the mafia, and then I think he was trying to make a comeback, and then he disappeared, right? And we never saw him again. We all know that he was likely murdered by the mafia, okay? Like he was murdered and buried somewhere. We know he was definitely murdered by the mafia. To say that he wasn't murdered by the mafia, he just left and maybe went to Italy and never came back or something like that would be a little too speculative. So people who say that Cyril was not involved in the murder of Hypatia are basically saying, well, he was never involved. They had some connections with Peter the Lector. Nobody was punished, but he was never involved. I just find very unlikely. By the way, can you guess what happened to the murderers, including Peter the Lector? Let me give you some time to think about it. Just what happened to them? It was shocking, wasn't it? So what happened to the murderers? Nothing. Nada. Absolutely nothing. Okay? Nanimo nai. Absolutely nothing. There you go. The veneration of Cyril as a saint within certain Christian traditions, the Catholic tradition to be specific, stands in contrast to his controversial actions, particularly regarding Hypatia's death. His apparent indifference to the murder, even if we gave it that he was 100% not involved, and the role his supporters played raised profound ethical and moral questions. It's bad to make someone who never regretted the death of Hypatia, never even said a word about it, never said, you know what, maybe 20, 30 years later, never said, you know what happened to her was absolutely wrong, never said anything, never confessed, never repented, never wrote anything that showed that he regretted her death, to me, means he does not deserve to be thanked. He was a terrible man. Even if we say that he was not involved in the actual murder, he was 100% not involved, the fact that he never reacted is very bizarre. I want to give another example. Some of you remember when there was an attempted murder on Donald Trump. Can you imagine if Biden just didn't react? Biden and Kamala just didn't say anything, right? Would you come to me and say, oh yeah, that's okay, they were never involved, they just didn't react? I think people would be right. Even now, people say that they might have been involved, but at least they condemned it, right? They condemned the attempted murder. Now imagine if they never said anything. So that, to me, is what I mean when I say that Cyril is no saint. Even if we want to be charitable and give him the benefit of the doubt that 100% he was not involved at all in the murder or planning of it, the fact that he never said anything, even years later, he lived many more years after 415 AD. I think he lived to about 444 AD or somewhere there, right? That's almost 30 years. He had all that time to think about what had happened. This was a very influential woman. He could have apologized all that time, and he never did. Unlike Cyril, Hypatia's legacy endures as a symbol of intellectual pursuit and the perils faced by those who challenge prevailing dogmas. Her life and tragic end have inspired discussions on the intersection between science, philosophy, and religion. Conversely, Cyril's legacy is dual-faceted. Revered as a theological stalwart by some, yet criticized for his role in fostering intolerance and violence. The narratives of Hypatia and Cyril serve as a poignant reminder of the destructive potential of fanaticism and the importance of safeguarding intellectual freedom. In reflecting upon these historical figures, we are compelled to consider the moral responsibilities of leadership and the enduring impact of our actions on society. In a sense, what Cyril did in that period of time, and the fact that he never regretted it, he never said that he did, he never said anything to show that he regretted it, means he shouldn't have even been a saint. Some people have said, well, Cyril was sort of like Paul, that yes, he made mistakes, yes, he was a sinner, saints are not perfect, but he moved on. But there's a very big difference between Paul in the Bible and Cyril. Paul was a zealot who later became a Christian and always regretted in his writing how he had persecuted Christians. Cyril, on the other hand, never regretted how he had badmouthed, slandered Hypatia, at least regret that part, and regretted the fact that she was killed. There is a huge difference between Cyril and Paul. They're not even close, to be honest. And I'm not saying that because Paul is in the Bible and Cyril isn't. You just have to look. One guy regrets, one man, gentleman, regrets what he did, and the other one never says anything. Cyril is no saint. He's not close to Paul. He never regretted anything he did. He just went on like nothing happened. We can come up with all sorts of theories, such as he never regretted it, but he was human and he made mistakes, but he did some great things that avoided the heresy of the Christian faith. We can come up with some explanation. But you know what? You don't have to make him a saint for that. You can still read about him. There are a lot of people who made great arguments in Christianity who are not saints for many reasons. They're great people. They're people we respect, and they're people we still honor, but they're not saints. Being a saint, I would assume, is something that goes beyond. Something like Mother Teresa, right? She's a saint, and for good reason, right? Although there's some skeptics who say some otherwise, but I'm not going to delve into that topic. But Cyril of Alexandria was not like that. There are a lot of founding Christian fathers who defended the faith who are not saints. And that is fine. We can still look up to them. We can still respect them. We can still read their writings. So there was no need to make a character as mixed at best as Cyril is into a saint.
The lesson we should learn from Cyril of Alexandria, if we don't turn out bad, is this lesson. We all can be Cyrils of Alexandria. We all tend to think that we would be like a Hypatia defending the right, but we all can be Cyrils. And this is how it happens. When the opportunity to have power over somebody, over a group, over a company, over anybody or individuals, or even in a marriage, is presented to you. When that power is presented to you, you must always be willing to share that power. You must not be tempted by the lure of power. Because if you are, you may end up as terrible as Cyril. Cyril of Alexandria, except in some circles in the churches, is indeed infamous. And is infamous because he made the choice to be attracted to power in this world.